Hi everyone, Chillax here and welcome back to another Anchor Panic video. So in today's video we will be going over part 9 out of this 15-part series in which I go over in chronological order the detailed kit of every single unreleased CN operator. That way you guys can plan ahead for their release on the global side. And huge shout out to Qua for providing me screenshots of the entire kit of all 15 unreleased CN operators. That way I can do my own translations and give you guys the most accurate and detailed overview of their kit. And today we are going to talk about Momiji, who is a fire striker. Now when she was released on the CN side, according to Qua, Momiji was actually a standard banner character whose kit was actually fairly lackluster, and she ended up not doing that well when she was released. And I don't know if it was because people complained or maybe the devs realized that fire elements needed some love. About 2 months later, they ended up buffing her to the point where she was basically on the same power level as other limited operators. And actually when Momiji came to the JP server side earlier this year, Momiji was released on the JP server as a limited character. And Qua explained to me that global server actually more aligns with the JP server because JP server doesn't have skill 2 like the characters do on the CN side. And we are the same way as well. On the global server, all our characters, when we look at the kit overview, we have only 1 skill, not 2. Yeah, so anyways, without further ado, let's begin. So as you can see before you, this is the splash art of her character release banner. I do like her character design a lot. She's a fox lady, you know, and alongside her initial release, she came with a pay-to-win skin. This is her cherry blossom skin, which a lot of people on the global side like to share on the Anchor Panic Discord server. She's really hot, guys. And about 2 months later, when she got buffed on the CN side, she got both a second skin as well as an interactive version of that skin. So the second skin was this one right here, her lounging on the couch, and then the interactive skin looks something like this. Yeah, it's kind of like a similar theme to the wedding skin of Abyssalicia, where you interact with her across several different scenes. And then about half a year after the buff to her kit, she ended up getting a third skin, which was the Summer Breeze skin, which is quite nice. Alright, so let's get to the meat of the video, which is her kit. So as you can see here, we have the character profile, and I mentioned here she's a fire striker, and I specify once again that she was a standard character on the CN server, and when she came over to the JP side, she was a limited character on the JP server. Now the distinction between a standard banner character and a limited banner character: limited banner characters tend to be more powerful than the average character, and the trade-off is that you have to summon them during their raid up banner, during that limited window, because once they leave the raid up banner, once their raid up banner goes away, you can't summon them for anymore until their banner comes up again, because limited characters do not get added to the raid up pool. So you can't fail the 50-50 for Momiji when she comes to global after her raid up banner rotates out. Alright, and then this was actually the JP summary. This is the summary of her kit from the JP Twitter page. I ended up using part of this for the translations, and I had to fall back on the CN server translations for further clarification on her talents 1 and 2, which is basically the backbone of her kit. So anyways, let's go over her talent 1. So her talent 1, after any ally takes an action, Momiji gains 1 stack of Foxfire. And this Foxfire can get up to 10 stacks. At 10 stacks, Momiji will automatically trigger Foxfire release. She'll still have the 10 stacks of Foxfire, however, she will enter a new mode called Foxfire Release, in which she removes all crowd control effects from herself and immediately deals AoE fire damage to all enemies. While in this Foxfire release form, Momiji cannot gain more Foxfire stacks, which I have to put an asterisk here because her signature Sigil actually adds more. But I think it's explaining here that from her talent 1, she will no longer get the Foxfire stacks when the allies act. If anything, the allies, as it specifies in the next sentence, every character action will consume 2 Foxfire stacks instead of gaining 1, right? So basically, anytime an ally takes action, she'll get 1 Foxfire stack. When she gets 10 Foxfire stacks, she'll keep the 10 stacks, she'll enter a Foxfire release, and then when allies take subsequent actions, take more actions while she's in this Foxfire release state, instead of gaining more Foxfire stacks, she'll start consuming 2 Foxfire stacks at a time. So hopefully the visual makes sense with my fingers. And then talent 2, this explains what happens, what benefits she gets when she consumes the Foxfire stacks. So each time Momiji consumes Foxfire, she gains 1 stack of insight, max 3 stacks, persisting through death, lasting the entire battle. Now these insight stacks, each stack grants Momiji plus 12% fire damage, plus 8% defense ignore, which I believe is defense penetration. Now this is a huge multiplier because this is per stack, right? And she can get up to 3 stacks of this, which means she can get up to 36% fire damage and 24% defense penetration, which is insane. And she also gets a bonus called Secret Blade while Insight is active, in which when she hits the enemy, she applies a Grievous Wound, in which enemies inflicted with Grievous Wound, their healing and shields received are reduced by 8%, lasting for 2 turns up to 5 stacks. So you can reduce their healing and shield effectiveness by up to 40%. And this doesn't include the burn application, by the way, from the fire homology. So you could get to a point where the enemies are barely healing up. And actually, at max 3 stacks of insight, the Secret Blade bonus will also apply an anti-shield, in which the enemies just flat out cannot gain a shield. And so this can have, I would say, PvP implications. Yeah, and I think this was what the fire element as a whole really needed. They needed a way to really capitalize and really double down on the theme of making the enemies heal less and just have a hard time sustaining themselves in prolonged fights. And I think the talents 1 and 2 really deliver that. And here's just a screenshot, much love to Qua for helping me understand talents 1 and 2. It took me probably an hour and a half to understand it. It was really confusing. Okay, and then so now I'm falling back to the JP translations. Now, unfortunately, the multipliers here are from a level 1 standpoint, so you won't be able to determine how much of a buff her Momiji got, right? Yeah, but at least we'll know roughly what she does anyway. So, normal attacks is nothing to write home about. And then skills is just a vanilla AoE attack, front row. And then the energy burst, also a vanilla attack. It's just basically an AoE attack in which the primary target, which I would presume is the frontmost enemy, depending on her targeting. Additional damage equal to 10% per burn stack, and burn is what your fire homology will provide. Yeah, and I would imagine, actually, if I was to check in game real quick, let me see how many stacks of fire. No, the game doesn't specify how many fire stacks you can get up to, so I cannot tell you. Yeah, but I would presume at least 6. Alright, and then Ascension 6, so this is interesting. One thing is that it cuts the Foxfire consumption from 2 stacks per ally action just to 1 Foxfire consumed per ally action. And I think the purpose of this is to allow her to remain in the Foxfire release state, because one thing that I forgot to include in the translation for the talents is that once all 10 Foxfires are consumed, which would basically be like traditionally five ally actions, right? She will exit the Foxfire release state, and you won't get the benefits from the insight stacks, right, which give her fire damage percent as well as defense penetration. So having her Ascension 3 or 6 will basically prolong the duration in which she is able to make full use of the insight buff benefits. And then once per battle, if she takes lethal damage, she will survive with 1 HP until the next turn, and during this time she can also be re-healed and re-shielded. She's immune to crowd control, so she can't be frozen, and Secret Blade no longer consumes Foxfire. Yeah, so this is definitely pay to win, because at this point this is the 3rd unreleased CN operator who has a cheat death mechanic with Ascension 3 or 6, because Morpho, the lightning stun, had this, and then I forget the other operator who had this, but anyways, this might become a theme for future operator releases. We'll see. Yeah, and then this is her signature Sigil, gives her the good stuff: fire damage, crit damage. While equipped, the primary target damage is increased by 16%. I would imagine this is, I don't know what this is exactly, but just additional damage, okay? And the keyword right below this, you start the battle with 6 Foxfires. This is so significant. I almost want to say, if you plan to summon for Momiji, you have to get the Sigil, because 6 Foxfire stacks, like starting with this, is the equivalent of your allies acting 6 times, which is quite significant, right? Because normally it would take a turn and a half to do this, but she starts out with this, which actually allows her to enter the Foxfire release state by the end of the first turn. Yes, or actually before she acts. Now that I think about the rotation, what you typically want to do, of course you want your DPSs to act last, but if you have multiple DPSs, you actually want Momiji to be the very last when equipped with this, because imagine this scenario. The battle begins, Momiji is equipped with the signature Sigil, she starts with 6 Foxfire stacks, and then your operator number 1, 2, 3, and 4 act before Momiji, and now you count my fingers, right? Now she has 10 Foxfires. She enters the Foxfire release, an AoE happens, she crowd controls are removed, and then she acts. And I think that is the way to play her. The only thing is that there won't be allies acting after her, so she won't be getting insights. But actually, no, that's fine, because at least she'll act while in the Foxfire state. I don't know. I'm sure there's something you can do with this. But anyways, it's clear that the signature Sigil is very important. And when Foxfire is consumed, she has a 64% chance to gain an insight stack. And the insight stack is the stack that you get whenever your allies act and you consume 2 Foxfires, right? And with the signature Sigil, when the Foxfire is consumed, you have a chance to get an additional stack. So it's entirely possible you could get to 3 stacks of insight, which is the max stacks of it, and get the maximum, what did we say, like 36% fire damage, 24% defense penetration by the time the second ally has acted, right? That's certainly possible. When entering Foxfire release, immediately gains 1 Foxfire. So she'll end up with 11 Foxfire stacks. Or no, I don't think that's possible. I don't understand the purpose of this clause, because I could have sworn it was like max 10 stacks, right? But it could be my translation error. Anyways, she also gains extra Foxfire based on the number of defeated enemies on the battlefield. So that's kind of interesting too. We'll have to see how this exactly translates when she comes to global, but the key point is that this signature Sigil is a very important part of, you know, really fueling her kit and getting all those extra Foxfire stacks and yeah, getting to max insight stacks faster. Okay, so anyways, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I think her kit's pretty you know, self-explanatory. You know, I hope you found this video informative. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you excited about Momiji? Do you think that she will make fire elements more relevant, particularly in PvP? I would like to know in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.